when you look at it as a player, Charlton, Leeds United over 200 games, West Ham, I know close to your heart, I've spoken to you about West Ham before, Newcastle, you love the place and their fans, back at West Ham, Birmingham on loan, Birmingham City, and then Ipswich. I mean, your fondest memories as a player, where would they be?
I'd have to say Leeds, really. I think that the team we had at that time was a very, very good, young, exciting team, played on the front foot, didn't fear anybody. Like the callers, the message came in earlier regarding like the AC Milan game. We had no right on paper to compete against these sides, and we ended up getting to the semi-finals of the Champions League.
I mean, that was incredible.
Yeah, the atmosphere, Jim, I couldn't tell you, like it was just unreal. A bit like what for me watching at home the World Cup. The Argentinian fans and how passionate they were. On Elland Road on a Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Champions League, they were special times. Yeah.
You love that place, Simon, don't you? Elland Road when it's jumping.
I don't love it. I'm intimidated by it, if I'm intimidated by anything, because it's one of those clubs, when you go to Elland Road and you play against Leeds United, and perhaps it was Ken Bates getting on my nerves at the time, but I found the environment to be very up and in your face.
Yeah.
And having taken Palace to most of the grounds around the country, the one that always stood out and was Leeds. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I was steeped in the history of the football club and remembered Don Revie and Brian Clough and all that went on there in the 70s. But more importantly, it's because when you saw that bleeding great stand on the other side of the director's box and the Leeds fans at it and on it, it just put the hairs on the back of your neck a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think the journey they have been on since? I mean, when you were there under George Graeme, right? Then O'Leary. But now, under Jesse Marsh, where are they? Where are they going to go? Because this is an enormous football club.
Enormous, yeah. I just hope that they keep climbing and moving in the right direction. That just don't go backwards. That's the most important thing. That football club needs to be in the Premiership for sure. And I think it was a very brave and bold and now looking at it, probably the right decision for Bielsa then to move on. But at the time, I thought, wow, like. He is loved unbelievably up there. Like I still win contact with people up in Leeds, and the fans love Bielsa. So it was a brave move, but it paid off. They're still in the division, and hopefully they keep going from strength to strength.
The thing I see this morning, and this lunchtime I should say, is that they don't forget. There's another message in about that your performance in that Leeds win over Milan. And this guy, Danny, is saying, I've got to be honest with you, I still wear my 1998 Lee Bowyer shirt to every home game as a lucky charm. Players like Lee don't exist anymore. I wish they did. What was it that you felt you had to give everything you possibly had got in you to a club like Leeds United? Why was it that you owed it to them?
I just think the way they pushed you on, the way they got behind you, win, lose or drawing, Jim, they would still sing and push you and help you right to the final whistle. And no matter what minute, first minute, 45, 90, they're still behind you. I took Johnny Jackson, my assistant, when I was at Charlton to a game. We was playing locally and they played against West Brom. And they won 4-0. This was when they was in the Championship, and they won 4-0. And it was full ass, and the atmosphere was unreal. And Johnny Jackson said, "Nah," he's an Arsenal fan. He said, "Nah, Leeds is my second team." The atmosphere is frightening there. Like when they're on it, like what Simon was just saying, when they're on it, they're on it. And yeah, it's some place to go and play.
Okay, I'm going to go into it. I know you well enough to ask you. So here's Chris. And one of a number, but he's asking it in a different way. So you're at Newcastle and you're playing in that game.
Yeah.
And you end up fighting with Kieron Dyer, who's on your side.
Oh, that game.
That game. Souness was
the manager. Have you ever been asked this
before? No, I've not been asked this, no.
So what he's basically saying is, how would Lee, the manager, have handled Lee Bowyer, the player, and Kieron Dyer, the player, on that day after what we saw? What happened, Lee?
Yeah, a moment of madness, Jim. Obviously, people have opinions, and then it goes from one extreme to another. Everyone puts 2 pence in, and then all of a sudden, me and Kieron hated each other, but that wasn't the case.
So, what was the case?
The case is, I think, from my
perspective, you're playing in the same team, and like I've said on many occasions already today, is winning is everything to me, and it hurts me when I lose. And we was losing 3-0 at the time. During that time, who are you playing?
We was playing Aston Villa.
Right.
And Kieron was... we was both competing in the same position. We're both similar players, want to get forward, score goals from midfield. And I felt at the time during the game that I was in goal-scoring positions. And as simple as this is, I felt he could have passed me the ball. I could have maybe scored for the team, made the score different. So it happened on a few occasions through the game. And I just was saying to him, like, just pass me the ball. What are you doing? And then obviously 3-0, and it was right towards the end of the game. And then I said to him, pass me the ball. Obviously a little bit more than that,
please.
And then he said something back, and then we ended up walking towards each other, and the rest is history. But do I regret it? Of course I do. Like, no one wants to do that, and especially in a big stage like that. But it's passion, you know. And sometimes
did it carry on back in the dressing room?
No, it didn't carry on in the dressing room. There was security fellas around, and obviously kept us apart. But when we did get back into the dressing room and the rest came in, obviously Graeme Souness was manager at the time. So you can imagine Graeme Souness wasn't too happy. But Al like Shearer, the captain, he went mad as well, because it wasn't just that game. Obviously you don't think of these things, but we ended up missing. We had Man United in the semi-final, I think, of the FA Cup, and we both couldn't play in that. So yeah, they asked me to take the blame. Like the club asked me to take the blame for it.
Asked you to take the blame?
Yeah, because then Kieron could play in the game against Man United in the semi-final, and I said okay, I'll take it.
Were you happy doing that?
Well, if it could help Kieron play in the game, then it helps the team. Like I keep coming back to, winning is everything. I want the team to do well. So you wouldn't think that after the actions that just happened, but yeah. So I tried to take the blame, but it didn't work. Whoever was in charge, the FA or whatever, they said no, you're both
culpable.
You're both culpable.
Yeah.
I remember how Souness dealt with it. I think I spoke to him around that time, and he paraded the two of you, did he not, in front of the media? Yeah. And do a handshake and all that kind of thing. Did you go along with that willingly? Yeah,
but again, we didn't speak straight away, me and Kieron, because obviously it's not a nice scenario to happen. But since then, we speak. Not long after that, we spoke. I still see him now, and we're still in touch. He's at Ipswich. When I was at Birmingham, he would ring me about a player and asked him for my views on the player that was at Birmingham at the time. So yeah, I've seen him at Ipswich when I was at Charlton. I'd go and watch Ipswich before we played them, bump into him, shake hands, how's things, have a little laugh about it. But obviously, yeah, not a good moment, not one of my proudest moments of my career. But
as a manager, would you have handled it the same way as Souness handled it? Get the two of you together, crack your heads together in front of the media?
Yeah, I think that was the right thing to do. I think to put it all to bed. The sooner you put it to bed, the quicker you can move on. So yeah, I think the way Graeme handled it was the right way. Yeah.
Now Newcastle are flying, are they not?
Yeah.
New ownership. I was up there recently, Lee, and I saw them before the World Cup. Obviously, I saw them beat Villa convincingly, and then I saw them in the South Coast against Southampton, winning convincingly. And one wonders. This man and I had a bet on a charity bet earlier on this season. I'm saying top 6. They'll be top 6. Do you go with me?
Yeah, I say they will stay in the top 6. Yeah, I think, and the way Eddie and Jason have done it, I think has been very, very good. I think the way they've spent the money wisely, they're not gone from crazy superstars, because I'm guessing the money is there for them to do that. I think the way they say, right, this is a type of personality that we need at this club. Knowing Newcastle the way I do, you have to be a certain person to handle the pressures of up there, because it is different pressures. 50,000, no matter what division, whether you're in the Championship or in the Premiership, they're there, 50,000, and they demand that you give everything for that shirt. So I think the players they've brought in have been very wise, good additions to the squad, improved them slowly but surely. And I think in the next few years they will be a big force. But it's good to see that club moving in that direction. It's great if they can get back into Europe, because when I was there, we was in Europe, we was playing in Europe. So if they can get back into them sort of times, then that'd be great.
Jim White and Simon Jordan, Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.